I'm going to go back a little ways on this since it has been quite a while. So kind of 2 sessions ago is when you guys started back off, and started with a small little battle there back in the town of Crux, but headed back to Sigil, and it sort of skipped about a year ahead, is Zahn had grown the Sigil tour company quite a bit. Seda and Tiva were helping out, Kothis as well. You guys met Dan's character. We kind of flash forward a little bit. You got a couple letters, mainly one from Veritas back in Crux, saying that he needed your help and that he had a connection with Zahn's father. Ironically enough, not too long after that, Zahn's father showed up, dead this time, well, again, I guess it should be said, with a letter as well. Ultimately, you guys ended up hitting the clock tower and meeting a nymphomaniac giant ant lady who had quite the crush. And her love is now dead, I just realized. Oh my goodness. She's going to have to find a new love.
She's going to be devastated.
She is.
Can
oh my goodness.
More pitiful voice on? If you could? I mean, come on.
Sorry. But yeah, you guys, she gave you information to get a portal through a dead world called Renee's. She mentioned not to touch anything there, and to basically look for the black ziggurat or black pyramid, and then there is the portal that would lead you back to Yggdrasil and ultimately to Crux, where you could get back with Veritas and speak to him. Let's see, you guys went through the portal, ended up in this world of Renee's, which was really just a modern, well, I guess not really modern, but like an apocalyptic New York City as you guys traveled down what was considered Fifth Avenue. And you had all of these weird ghostly apparitions. I think Kothis recognized them ultimately as wraiths who were following you along. Started out a small fight. Dan's character cast invisibility on you all and got you to the ziggurat, except for Tiva, who got captured. Small fight broke out. They didn't seem like they were really interested in fighting so much, though they were more just creepy jerks that were trying to start stuff. And they did give you a little bit of information about where you were and that they had seen these visage creatures pass through their realm. They were called the Love Lost. They were trapped here. They originally followed a god or a lord of undead. This whole city did, and were cursed. The god eventually brought down the apocalypse on the city, or this realm, this world, and they were cursed to live here as undead minions of his, but they had not heard from him in centuries. And it seemed like their world around them was slowly collapsing. He got into the temple. It was a creepy place. Not too many things. You guys didn't interact with too much stuff, as apparently you weren't afraid to, but that's okay. Seda bounded down the stairs as her happy self, jumped on some mosaic tiles, triggered a trap, blew Zahn up, only for Zahn to be ambushed behind by an invisible stalker, or it was actually a demon. That ended up skewering him, and Zahn fell, no life left to save on his. Seda was able to beat the crap out of this invisible demon stalker creature, gathered up what he could of Zahn's body. Zahn's ghost returned and talked with them a little bit, but it could not go through the portal. It seemed to be trapped in this pyramid of where Zahn died. Let's see, what else? Everybody piled through the portal that was in this giant skull mouth that was sort of on the back wall, and through that, and you ended out onto a branch of Yggdrasil. A long while back, you guys came across this portal on this side of Yggdrasil, but Zahn didn't want to use it or go through it. It got a bad vibe from a long time ago, but you came out of it this time.
Mention that, actually. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So on this side, you guys could see Crux in the distance. Seda, you carried Zahn's body down into town. Veritas was there waiting for you. You guys had a small little burial scene type thing for Zahn's body. Everybody said their final words, and we ended it there with you guys getting ready to head back to Veritas Mauve's mansion. Veritas being this self-appointed sort of mayor of Crux. Not really by legal terms, but everybody sort of considers him as such. And anything anybody wants to add? Quick crash course of basically what happened. see, Joe, you missed the last session. But basically, yeah, they just traveled through this place. Zahn died, and everybody ran the hell out of there and got out of there.
Yeah, and you got my stuff.
Yeah, and you posted everything over into the Planescape chat, too. So whoever has what, just you guys can decide amongst yourselves. And apparently the dwarf has the hammer.
Doc did that. That the dwarf crafted him.
All right. Cool. All right. So you guys will begin in the town of Crux. You've all been here before. You recognize Veritas. The town itself seems a little decrepit. It doesn't look like it is really in as good of condition as when you last left it. The people here look sort of sad. Nobody seems to really smile. They seem to be going through the motions of the day. Everybody seems a little quieter. You can see that something is weighing upon these people pretty heavily. And even Veritas, it's only been a year, not even a year since you last seen him, but it seems like he's aged at least 10 years. He has gray going through the sides of his hair. His beard is also a bit grayed up. His clothes, always quite immaculate. He always had a flower on his lapel. Now they sort of dingy, faded in color a little bit. It just seems sort of a sad state of affairs here in Crux. And you can see something is weighing on Veritas very heavily, but he really hasn't said much yet and is wishing to, head back to his mansion in private and speak with all of you. That aside, before I hand this over to you, we have a slight little hop back to do here. See, Zahn's resting place back in Renee's and this black ziggurat isn't a comfortable place. So our scene's going to open there in darkness, and you can only see these small slants of light breaking through the darkness, and that's where he rests. A warrior who has spent years in solitude of darkness, watching this world crumble around him. Here in a place of corruption, of evil, of death. And it seems like he's been trapped for an eternity. Elsewhere, the world moves on. But here on this forgotten world, it stands still. This choking grip drawing tighter around it. These thick, black mists seem to encroach tighter and tighter around the city, around this black pyramid that he dwells within, unable to leave. And all he knows for all this time has been this black stone pyramid. He hears a tap of a rolling pebble, a splash of water, and it causes Zahn to look up. He's seen it before. The smoky porcelain masks of creatures coming through the portal room. It's this room that has a large basin in the center of it, this black, ichor-like liquid. He remembers when he came here the first time and peered into these waters. They led to somewhere within the abyss, a portal that nobody wanted to mess with. But here, this is where these visage creatures seem to climb through, sometimes coming, sometimes going. But when they come, they always seem to move downwards, deeper into the bowels of this ziggurat, into that room with the trophies, where they would again rip through the fabric of reality. He'd seen it many times. And it seemed to be yet another portal down below. That one too, that's somewhere dark, somewhere bad. What he would recognize as the bottom of the multiverse. But it's best not to think about it too much. Sometimes creatures would come and go through this giant skull-like mouth. And he knew that too led to Yggdrasil. He remembers seeing it from the opposite side at one time. So these visage creatures, seems like they have some sort of business on Yggdrasil, some sort of business in Crux, something he always felt he knew, but was never able to truly figure out. And he remembers the last time he saw his friends. The lasting look that Seda had upon her face seemed to linger the longest in his mind as she went through the portal last, carrying his physical body. But even that memory was beginning to fade. But this time, whatever was coming through the portal was different. Never before had Zahn seen the thing that was pulling itself through. That's not quite right. He'd seen it before, back when Set had been slayed and his proxy mutilated. He remembers this huge demonic apparition that swirled through the skies of that desert world and leered down upon the group as they made their escape from Aquagot, along with the small flower that he carried, the desert rose. It was less than corporal now, but much more real, like some sort of bloated black demon of soot and bone. With each movement it took, its bones could be heard breaking and snapping. Blood-stained horns capped its goat-like rotting skull, and ivory claws glimmered in contrast to its darkness. It wasted no time, red eyes focusing on the ghost of Zahn, and its claws wrapping around the phantom before he could move. Cold, unlike anything he had ever felt, ripped through the ghostly body of the warrior. And nothing more than a gasp echoed from what was once his lungs. And the rest was a blur, until he was awoken by the chance of the creature. Whatever it was seemed both real and not, corporal and ethereal, all at once. It could hold his ghostly body as if he was real. And it pinned the warrior down to the floor. And all around Zahn, all he could see were the trophies. The mutilated, desiccated bodies hanging from the ceiling. The gore that eternally dripped and ran in rivulets across the floor. Large, abyssal flies buzzed about, the great bloated bodies bobbing in the air till they would land and vomit on these creatures, on these hanging trophies, the acid used to slurp up their remains. And they screamed, not the flies, but the trophies, eternally alive, hanging and being eaten. Zahn hated this place. He could feel the power of the being that held him, could feel it invading his ghostly form. For the first time, in what seemed forever, he could feel. His body burned. It twisted and it snapped. Blood, real blood, poured from his mouth. His eyes burst, and his organs splashed across the floor. Zahn's skin formed, ripped, and formed again across his carcass. Bones snapped, twisted, bent, and refused. And the screams of the trophies became louder. His screams melded with those of the trophies, and he could do nothing but wish for pain to end. And he heard a voice, like grinding iron and rusty nails, echo through his skull. It says, "I hear your thoughts, little creature, and your wish is granted." And it was. In blinding darkness, all was still. Zahn was no more. It only knew itself as the guardian. And there it waited, among the wailing chorus of the trophies, the incessant buzz of the demon flies, and the running rivers of blood between its hooves. It waited, it watched, and it guarded the gate of its master. Its hawking, tumorous form never moving, and its mind never wavering. And here we are in the current, present day. All of you are making your way down the street, along the city streets of Crux, back toward Veritas Mob's mansion. You can see it on the hill in the distance. This man doesn't look too happy. He doesn't seem himself that he once was. He leads all of you down the street in silence, past people, most of the carts that you remember, the wares, the vendors, all boarded up and closed. And everywhere around you just seems a rather sad and distant place from what it once was. What do you all do?
Good question.
So we basically just came back from Zan's funeral.
Yep.
Okay.
It's quite a rainy, nasty day, clouded skies, and just a whole sad-looking place.
Well, Tiva is going to just be walking down the road or walking down the street with her head down, tears in her eyes, and she's going to just be leaning on Seda for support and probably just make their way back to the home the only home they know right now, which is back at the shop, at the store. So she's not going to really be saying much, just because, you know, she's pretty upset that Zan died, that Zan was killed.
There we go.
There you go.
Seda would just be walking along, and as Tiva leans on her, she would just kind of reach over and just pat her on the head and just say, "It's okay. We'll just go back to the store and we'll just wait for Zane to come home."
Tiva, still crying, is going to just look up at Seda and says, "You don't understand. Zan will not be coming home." And then she just looks at Seda and she pats her arm and she says, "Oh, I'll explain it to you later." Because she just doesn't have the energy to try to explain it to her right now.
Veritas will lead you down the street and look over her shoulder. Says, "I thank you all for coming and for giving me the time, and I'm truly sorry for your friend. I had a brief meeting with his father, a good man he was. He seemed cheery. He seemed like he wanted to see Zan one last time before he left here. It is sad that the two of them will not get to reconcile. But I fear we have more pressing matters as well." And he'll come up to the door of his large mansion and takes out a small set of keys and goes to put it in. As he pushes the key in, he turns the handle, he realizes it wasn't locked. He kind of frowns a little bit as he looks at the handle. "Could have sworn I locked these doors. Strange. But my mind is going. It seems it's been a rough year in the Crux. And, well, come inside and out of this drizzly rain, and I'll put down some warm hot cocoa, some bit of coffee, and we'll have a chat. Says, come. He puts the keys back.
Well, not to interrupt you, but she's going to stop him from going in. Said, "You said you locked the door?"
Well, I thought I did, but as I said, it's, I've been a bit stressed and I've forgotten things here and there. I'm sure it's fine.
Okay, given the fact that everything that Zan hit, or not Zan, but that Tiva and Seda have been in, what she's going to do is she's going to take his hand, or put her hand on his arm and say, "Back up a little bit." And then she's going to look at Seda and say, "Seda, can you go in front of him and just open the door? Don't walk in, but just open the door."
Okay. And she just walks up and just puts a hand on the door and just shoves the door open.
He'll step aside, and you can see it's almost like he's sort of lost interest in things when you look at him. Tiva, he's just not really sure of anything anymore. He looks at Seda and nods as he steps back out of the way for the dwarf and push this door open. Seda, it does creak open just fine. Inside you can see several lanterns have been lit, and looks like it opens up into a large foyer. Quite an immaculate place. When you were here before, you'd seen his mansion from the outside, but you never actually had a chance to visit him inside. It's quite a beautiful place built into the side of this tree. And he'll peer over his shoulder. Inside seems to be okay. You don't see anything in this foyer or whatever. He looks around and says, "I always close the lanterns before I leave." And his eyes will sort of scan across. And it stops, and you follow his eyes, Steve, and you look over. You can see 3 doors, one at the far end of the foyer, one on the left and one on the right. And the one on the left is fully open. He says, "No, something is not right, my friends." He says, "I think somebody has broken in." He says, "The door leads to the kitchen." He says, "I haven't stepped foot in the kitchen in weeks. He says, I always eat down at the inn. He says, I haven't the energy to cook for myself. The door should not be open."
Does he have guard?
He says, "No, I don't worry about guards. Never since Yak and Mav and the whole issue that we had before. There's some town workers and guards, but no, I stand up for myself." And he'll pat his rapier on his hip. Says, I can handle it myself."
Yes, I think you have an unintended guest. Even in grief, we maintain our patterns. And if your pattern is not to go in the kitchen and not to open the windows, and the kitchen is open and the windows are open, then something is amiss, I think. Praise be.
Seda pulls her brand new hammer out and just looks over between the two of you, and it's like, kitchen?
Oh, always thinking with your stomach, Seda, and she just kind of chuckles. And she
She's
says,
thinking
"Yes."
with her hammer.
Huh?
Thinking with her hammer right
Yeah,
now.
thinking with her hammer. What you say, kitchen?
Yeah, like y'all said somebody's in the kitchen. She pulls out her hammer. She's like, kitchen?
Oh, okay, I missed that part.
Now. It's hard to do the Lord's work without a full stomach. So Sada's on the right track.
Okay. So what Tiva is going to suggest is that Seda go first. Oh, let me ask you a question. Are we all full health again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure because the last time I was not. So
That's
okay.
an important question for Michelle.
Yeah.
You guys are beat up a little bit, but I'm going to put you back
Yeah.
at full because you basically had time to rest. And
Yeah.
And we were not supposed to level up, correct?
nope, not yet. Probably at the end of this. Well, depending on how far we get.
So yeah, Tiva's going to ask Seda to go ahead of everyone and just, she's going to say, well, how many people do we have with us? We have Veritas, we have Seda, myself, and Kothis, right? Do we have anybody else with us?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. Okay. So, Seda, would you please walk towards the kitchen? And we will walk behind you. So everybody be on your guard.
She pulls out her hammer and walks to the kitchen. The kitchen has a closable door, I take it.
Mhm.
So she just walks up and then she just takes her finger and just pushes the door open to look inside.
I thought the door was
Veritas.
already open.
It's hanging open a little bit, yeah. Ratatosk will loosen the rapier in his hip. Steps in as well. As soon as you all step in, you smell sort of a sweet, perfumey, flowery sort of smell. And he'll sniff the air a little bit. It's sort of mixed with the same, like, old, dirty clothes. And it's sort of a weird, musty smell as well. His eyes will scan this room that he's in as he follows behind you, Seda. Going up, and as you press this door open, inside the kitchen, it seems like it hasn't been used in weeks. There's some spoiled food on the counter. It sort of smells like a garbage pit for the most part. You can almost see Veritas flush a little bit in embarrassment and say, "We'll explain. I must forgive this." But his words sort of stop in his throat as he looks over. And sitting at the table, you see this being. Quite beautiful. These angelic sort of wings clipped to its back. And Micah, why don't you describe what they see?
So the kitchen is a mess, of course, and was before. In front of that very beautiful being, very 8 in charisma. is a pot, a big, like a bowl, and a lot of cutlery. And next to him is one mug of cocoa. You can smell it. It's like a little bit lingering in the air, not quite overcoming the musty smell, but still you can smell it. He is cleaning up the dishes in that bowl, and as you enter the kitchen, he turns around. Imagine Conan with wings and a male chainmail bikini, a really nice sword on his hips, and he's smiling, blushing a little bit as he gets up. I'm very sorry I let myself in, sir. I made a mess. And he points out at the bowl next to him.
So I missed it. Is he normal man size or small?
Yeah, he's like maybe a little bit taller as a normal human being.
Okay.
But
so
aside from his wings, he looks pretty much like a human.
So Seda now has a mix of like fear because she's surprised, upset because you're breaking and entering, but complete and utter amazement because you're a bird. And immediately
I
begins
didn't expect that.
to try to think to herself how she can ride you.
Verdos will stop pretty much dead in his tracks as he sort of locks eyes with you. And Arabellos, is that how you pronounce it?
Hero Bellos, yes. Please.
Hero Bellos. All right. This is no, that's quite all right. Who are you?
Steps up to him and extends a hand, taking it back again, wiping it on his loincloth chainmail skirt, and then stretches it out again. My name is Hero Bellos, cleric of Hieronymus. Very pleased to meet you. I assume you are Veridus.
Well, that depends on who sent you and how I feel like answering.
Oh.
Why are you in my house?
I totally understand that this must be a very awkward situation for you, sir. I just merely was really exhausted. And he looks down at the ground for a moment. Great cat. He looks down at the ground for a moment as if he's ashamed, but you're not sure why. And as he looks up again, he says, we need to have a talk, sir, and I'm not even sure. I must warn you, I'm not sure if this talk will end well. My belief is that... Oh, my mic is too far away. Oh, what about now?
You good?
Why don't you tell me?
I did.
Yeah, but in chat. My belief is that that I have to investigate in this town, and you might be a part of what's going on here. He seems to be very direct, like almost right in the face. And he doesn't seem to be bothered by that, actually. He seems to be almost like a little bit Asperger's, maybe?
Verdos will look at Kothas and down at Tiva and Seda and says, well, I can't say I was prepared to have one such as yourself in my house. Says, you must understand if I'm a bit cut off guard. Says, but if my assumptions are right, then I don't think we have anything to fear from you. And he'll sort of put his hands up next to you, Tiva, and say, "Don't push your weapons down lightly." And says, "Don't worry, friends. I think this is a person that we can at least trust for the moment. Why don't we all have a seat and catch up a while, eh?"
He smiles broadly, and actually, as soon as Tiva and Seda will make their way to the table, if they do, he would actually pull out a chair for each of them.
David just looks at him in amazement, never seeing anything like him before, and she's got her mouth open, just gaping at him. And then just without thinking, she just walks over and just sits down, but just continuously staring up at him. And she just says, "Okay."
And you pull the chair out for Seda. Seda reaches over and grabs the chair and pulls it away from you and goes, "That's mine." And then sets it on the floor and sits in it and just kind of looks at you, completely not understanding what you are, but doesn't know how to ask the questions.
Of course it is, ma'am. He just answers and looks at Veritas. "Well, shall we talk?"
And Veritas will motion towards the table as he goes over, and you can see pulls out some small chocolate powder and begins making some drinks. And Veritas, since you seem to be the one starting this conversation, he'll look at you, Bellows. What exactly is it you want? You must understand, I'm not used to coming home to strangers in my kitchen. And you seem to know more than, well, perhaps what even I know.
I'm sure we can forget about this very soon. He's looking expectantly at Kothus and actually Veritas as well. He's like standing there as if he seems to be waiting. Are they sitting down?
Kothus remains standing comfortably. He's holding his staff, but not as a weapon, as a walking stick, and just taking everything in.
Hirabellis is like looking at you, smiling.
Hello.
Well met. Well met. Don't you want to sit, sir?
I don't mind if I do. And Kothus walks over and sits down and maintains his grip on the staff as if he were still standing. So it's kind of awkward, but he's holding his staff next to the table in this odd kind of apparently put upon manner, but to the casual observer, it just seems like it's something that he does all the time, which in fact it is. He just kind of forgets to do things properly. But he's seated now.
And Hirabellis almost looks relieved as he finally sits down and then looks to Veritas. Well then, I am here on behalf of Hieronymus. My quest is to find out where the darkness is stemming from that is originating from your village. I heard you're the mayor, but you're not. I'm not sure how that's even possible, but well, that's a story for a different time, I would assume. But would you mind telling me what your connection to the actual darkness in this town is? Because I have heard from a few sources that you are having part in all of this, but maybe I'm pretty sure I believe in the good of the human being, so I'm assuming it's not by free will.
He'll slide over some mugs for everybody of steaming hot cocoa. all the while not really letting his eyes drift from yours. And says, I think perhaps you simply misunderstand my stature and my place in all of this. Since I am not a mayor, I'm not even a governor of this town, but what I say really has little meaning. But these people, the townsfolk, the guests, you fine folk, those that pass through, travelers, I take them all under my wings. And he'll glance sort of across your shoulders at your own wings. Says, you know, I read a lot in my spare time. I know a good many things. And perhaps I'm mistaken, Arabelos, but one such as yourself are often given quests, and their wings clipped like yours for sinful tragedies, eh? It seems you and I perhaps have a little more in common.
He was just about to take a little sip from his mug as the tasty beverage is almost spilling out of his mouth again. He delicately puts the rest of the beverage back into the mug. Like, it looks a little bit weird, an angel reverse spitting back into the mug. He looks up, totally embarrassed, actually. He spreads out the wings, which look like, well, they're still wings. At least the end of the wings are complete, but everything going further in the direction of his body is clearly clipped. And it doesn't look like it's been done by a scissors or something, by scissors. It's so perfect and short and delicate. He would never be able to fly with this, and this is not done by a mortal, you would assume, as you look at it. He looks up back again at Veridis and lifts his chin a little bit. We all have to deal with our sins in very different ways. Veridis, this is mine. And he forces a smile on his face.
Yes, that is true, that is true. I am no different. Since I've perhaps done my wrongs and done things less savory, but I've done it for these people, for the town, for Crux. Since I do not like to be accused. He sort of just locks eyes for a few moments. Silence. Takes a sip of his drink. He says, we all have secrets. I don't believe this is the time to divulge in all of them. But I'm happy to catch you all up on exactly what it is I've sent you here for. And, well, it's a shame Zahn isn't with us because I believe he had a bit of a stake in all of this as well. And, well, simply a shame.
This Zahn?
And he glances at Tiva and Seda Kothas. A friend of theirs, perhaps they can tell you more. But
Is it important for my quest, if I may ask?
Tiva looks up at him and says, well, he may not be important for your quest, but he was very important to us. He was a very great friend of ours. He was a buck of gel, and he was very noble, and he sacrificed himself to help us. And he didn't want to at first, and we kind of forced him into it, even though we didn't really mean to, but we really needed his help. And even though he didn't want to help, he did anyway. but he was a great friend to us, and we miss him terribly. And as she starts to sob a little bit,
Noble being.
he was very noble.
Kothis grabs his holy symbol from around his neck and kind of holds it up in front of him and says, Zahn was a good, loyal companion, a fair man, or goat, or man-goat. Regardless, Zahn was a good, true friend. And he puts his holy symbol down and goes back to holding his staff.
They're just go.
Is my assumption right that this little illustrious group is somehow connected to your sins?
Well, perhaps we can take turns in divulging what we know exactly, but let me at least get all of you caught up to speed. Perhaps it'll answer some of your questions as well, Arabellis. I'm sure you all remember last time you were here, the battle with Yachin, the gods, those things, those what we have called, well, I believe Zahn called them visages first, but it seems the name has stuck. The black, demonic, porcelain-masked creatures. Says I had heard that such creatures were in my town before all of you showed up, and well, you have to understand, I do not wish to tell people that which I know. It is, people use your knowledge against you many times. So not knowing who all of you were, I had to hope for the best. And I simply didn't want to tell you what I knew in case such information got into the wrong hands. I knew when you left, and with the battle with Yachin and the gods and the visages, that you were somebody who I could trust. And that is why I called you here. Says you must forgive me. I never meant for any harm to come of you. I never meant for this darkness to seem to follow you as it did clear across the multiverse to Sigil, it seems. And now your friend is dead. I promise my people will take fine care of his grave, and all of you are welcome here at any time. Says I use this knowledge, I gather it from the people, from the travelers. I watch, I learn. Says I use what I have to protect this town. It is all I have. It is built on the shoulders of my family. I do not feel that I am a ruler, a lord, a king, or nothing of the such. I simply wish to be one of them, but their safety, their livelihood is mine to protect. Since I've heard many rumors recently, I've come across a bit of knowledge, and you see this darkness. It's infiltrated the town much deeper than what I've thought. I simply do not know who to trust and who to believe. And he'll look at you exactly when he says this, Arabellos. Says, here we have strangers in my house, unwelcome guests, but I give you the benefit of the doubt, but for only the moment. My friends here would slay you where you stand if you turn on us. So, but at least I know that I can trust you, say the Tiva Kothis. So I hope that you will at least help me with this if I explain what has happened. In turn, I can give you my thanks. I can pay you handsomely if that is what you wish, or I simply hope that you can at least aid me in my problems.
If your cause is just, the glory of the Fandango will surely assist you.
Yes, it's a good old Fandango. What a righteous man he is.
More than a man, but I digress.
Hero Bellos seems to be thinking very hard. You can see it on his face. Apparently he can't put the finger on where he heard Fandango, or maybe can't remember really if he's even a thing. But he's just smiling politely and listening.
Veritas leans forward and looks at you and he says, "And what exactly is it you are here for, Arabellos? What is it you want, or what is it you question about my integrity?" Eh?
Well, you already mentioned the darkness yourself that has stretched its roots into your village. I am supposed to go to have a look at the lightning scar of Yggdrasil and the connection to those beings infiltrating your village. Do you know what they are?
Not really, no. Some sort of demons from the abyss.
Would you maybe... What would you say if I would tell you they're Tunnery? Well, although that's not entirely true. They're Tunnery compared with the power of deities. Did you realize gods are dying?
Says, I've heard such things.
Tiva perks up and looks and oh, you know?
Oh yes, I certainly do.
Seda immediately puts her hand up like she's in school.
Oh, yes.
She then goes into explaining in intricate detail exactly what the creatures look like with the faces, and probably spends 10 minutes giving you the 4 minutes of detail that you actually need. But she describes in surprising detail for her mental state exactly the kinds of creatures that she thinks you might be talking about. Both the ones with the white mask and the winged elf person. And when she gets done with this long explanation of everything, she just kind of looks at Hirabelos and goes, "Them?"
Yes. Yeah. That's very accurate. You know about those two, Veritas?
Yeah, we've seen this once or twice.
Couple times.
Veritas knows. Yes, I know of the creatures as well. We encountered them roughly a year ago. They seem to have infiltrated the town guard. They took the form of Yakin Jan, our constable, the leader of the guard, and several guardsmen as well. All of us, motion around to each of you, and their friend Zan was able to take them out, at least the ones that existed here in the town then, before they headed back to Sigil. Since then, things have become quite dour. They've seemed to have chosen my town as a base of sorts. People have come up dead, found in the streets and the gutters. Others acting strange. I saw these creatures as they took upon the forms of others, doppelgangers, like as they did with Yachen Shan. Says, I believe many of them to be here in my town. I stay inside my house most days. I try not to leave. The people, they've become quite concerned, and they come knocking at my door, checking to see if I'm fine. And Says, I don't know who to trust, and I think that these creatures, these visages, tenari, you call them, says, I think there's more than just what we thought. Says, I heard news that, and he stops and looks at you. Says, wait a minute. Says, where did you say you had to go, Arabellos? Well, you said the lightning
scar.
Says, yes. Says, well, perhaps we have a bit of news in common. Says, the lightning scar. It's a place within the branches of Yggdrasil, an ancient a monument crafted by the great eagles. A place that was once struck by lightning, it was cleaned out, and the eagles, they call it Salience. It's a holy place here within Yggdrasil, but it was abandoned centuries ago. I've never seen the place myself. I know where it is, but of course I have no interest of ever going there. I've heard it's haunted and many other stories, but it seems you've been sent to investigate that, and oddly enough, I recently was able to get a bit of news that these creatures, these visages, they are supposed to meet there soon. And that is why I called upon the lot of you. I was simply hoping that perhaps all of you would look into this. I'll happily travel alongside you. I wish not to stay here in the town much longer. It's only a matter of time before I'm killed in my sleep. At least I can trust all of you, hopefully.
You say you... Where did you hear this information about this gathering of the visages? Is it reliable?
All of the news that I tell others, the news that I share, hell, any news, reliable or not, is still useful. So I simply overheard it spoken in the streets, whispers through the windows. I wish not to divulge exactly. And looks like he's getting ready to say something, but all of you hear a knock on the front door. And his eyes look over. It's probably another townsperson wondering how I'm doing and if I need anything, and inviting me to dinner. He'll stand up from his seat, and you hear another heavy knock on the door. He says,
Okay.
Give me just a moment.
Tiva's gonna stand up and say, hold on, don't go. And then she's gonna look over at Seda. Seda, can you go check the door? Don't open it. Just ask who it is.
And Arabellos immediately walks up to, or jumps up almost, to Seda's chair, just ready to pull it out from under her butt when she gets up.
She looks over at Tiva and goes, hold up a minute. Sorry. She stands up and grabs her hammer. And then when Arabellos pulls the chair out, she reaches back and grabs it again and shoves it on the table. And she's like, that's mine. You got your own. And then she turns around and goes to the door. And she looks at it and she leans back and then she just puts her face right up next to the door and she goes, who is it?
Is there a peephole by chance on this door?
Yeah, there would be. It'd be
Okay.
a couple feet above Seda's head.
Oh, okay. Well, then what Tiva's going to do is Tiva's going to walk over to Seda and ask if she can climb up on her shoulders so she can look through the peephole.
She just turns around and grabs you like a 4-year-old and just like picks you up like this. And then
Okay.
puts you up to the thing, but because it's Seda, she just like thunk up against the door like this. Yeah.
Ow.
Here's the heavy.
Yeah.
It says, as you peer through this peephole, you see a young girl, maybe in her 20s, holding a baby that's whimpering in her arms. She says, it's It is Corey. Please, Verdus. I simply need to talk. There's something happening at home. It'll only be a minute. There's creatures in my house, and I don't know. I had to escape out the window. I was hoping that it would give a place. I think they might be following me. And you can see that she looks over her shoulders and kind of looks around outside. You can see that her tears are sort of straight down her dirty face as well.
So, and who was it? What's her name again?
Corey.
Corey. So she's going to look back at Veritas and say, do you know Corey?
And says, yes, she's worked at the tavern for many years. A younger lady, just had a baby a couple of months ago.
Okay, well, she is holding a child. So should we let her? I don't know. After all the things that she's been going through, she doesn't really trust many people anymore like she used to. And maybe we should go outside.
She says, please, just at least help me.
This is about a young lady with a baby. And Hierobelos is grabbing his sword, ready next to his hip. We have to lend our swords to the help of this young lady.
But she may not be who she says she is. I mean, we've run into doppelgangers before. It's very possible. Maybe she's a doppelganger and she's trying to lure her way in so she can attack us all.
He laughs it almost sounds like a bell sound, although very manly, of course. And
a manly bell.
Yeah.
Manly bells.
You know, that when it rings, it sounds like dong.
Dong. Dong, dong.
He says, I'm sure a baby wouldn't be a doppelganger.
You would think that, but we have seen some things that I would have never understood. I would never have believed. But after being in this place for as long as we have, nothing would surprise me anymore.
Can you tell which character's been injured the most so far?
What?
I said, can you tell which character's been injured the most so far?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Pincushion. That's
you
pincushion.
don't trust anybody at all except the people that she's with now. She doesn't trust anybody. So yeah, she doesn't really want to go. She doesn't want to trust this person. So I say if we let her in for assistance, everyone needs to be on their guard because she could attack at any moment.
Now, Tiva, there's no need to be so fearful of our fellow creatures under the light of the Grand Creator.
Yeah,
But
until they try to
yes.
kill you.
We should probably keep our guard up because many things in this realm are not what they seem. So,
You'll see her pound. Please, I don't have much time.
Seda
Let me in and I'll explain it all.
Seda snatches the door open and says, you can come in, but if you misbehave, the little one says I get to smash you.
She sort of looks over her shoulder. Everybody that looks out can see several people about a block down the street that seem to be watching this. There's 4 of them sort of on the porch of another building looking down the street in your direction. She quickly steps in and slams the door behind her. She says, you can smash all you want. I understand if you don't trust me. This town is overrun with craziness. Please. And she'll look up and sort of scan around to see all of you.
She's like, yeah, come on. And she reaches out and grabs the one by the arm and just pulls her inside the door.
She says, looks at all of you a moment before she finally sees Verdus. Please, there's something in my house. A creature of it's like a ghost, but with a mask. And its claws scraped across the doors and the windows, and you can see that she's like swaying the baby back and forth in her arms, and she sort of swallows it back up again. She says, it scared us dearly. I was able to climb out the window, but Robert, he's still there. I fear perhaps they've killed him or something. Please, you must help me.
damsel in distress. And looking really fascinated fascinatedly at the baby, like almost, what is this? He looks back at Kothis. Colleague, we have to act now.
Praise be the Fandangle.
And Hieronymus. He takes out the sword from his sheath at his hip and holds it out like a torch beer. We will take care of this.
Keep in mind, Arabellus is as glorious as Kothis is not, with his sassafras root staff and ragged robes. Even with the new followers he may or may not have gained for the Fandangle, he's still 5'8" and 120 soaking wet. So yeah,
He's still a
but
colleague.
he's certainly there. Yeah, he has all the delusions of grandeur that come with the feeling of divine intervention. So yeah, he's with you, but that might not be much that's with you.
You can see Verdus looks a little bit nervous. He looks at this girl and all of you for a moment. Sort of moves forward and says, "What of Robert? Where is he that you say?" This girl will shake her. She says, I don't know. He was in the kitchen when we saw it. I heard his scream, and when I looked down across the loft, I could see the creatures and him. They were fighting in the kitchen. And he screamed for me to get out, and I simply came here first. At least I didn't know where else to turn.
It is fine, young lady, even if it's not a damsel in distress, but a young man in distress. We will take care of it. The gods are on your side.
Kothis kind of leans back toward Tiva and Seda, and not trying to keep this information from Arabellus, but while that conversation is going on, he says, "Does this sound to y'all like kind of the things that we were experiencing earlier with the mask and the smoky and the clawiness? I mean, we should probably go check this out anyway, right?"
Yes, except we need to proceed with caution.
But yes, certainly caution.
Bellos is almost half out of the door, sword in front of him.
Right. Kothis sees this and not wanting to be one up by Whoosy Hieronymus's, what's his name? Because obviously Fandangle rules and all other deities drool. He's right after this Greek god-looking thing in front of him in his brown potato sack robe.
Hieronymus doesn't judge.
Fandangle does, like a fiend. He's harsh.
Verdus will loosen the rapier in his hip and step out. He'll look at Tiva and Seda and back at this girl. Says, "We will look into this, Chloe. We'll handle this. Says, come, my friends. If nothing else, then at least we can be prepared, and maybe we can kill such a beast, or at least learn a bit more. But be wary, yeah." And when he mentions that, he looks at the girl and at you, Tiva, and at the girl, sort of trying to give you the hint to be wary. He will step outside down the streets. It's still drizzly a little bit. And this young lady with the baby will step out as well. She motions down the street, and Verdus nods. Says, yes, I know where you reside, young lady. He'll step up next to you, Arabellus, as he starts to go down the street towards a house in the distance. Notice the girl follows as well, sort of staying back next to probably Seda, since she looks like one of the strongest or whatever, sort of thinking that you might be more protective of her, but stays next to you as all of you move down the street. And Verdus is up by you, Arabellus. He'll sort of nudges you a little bit and says, I don't quite trust this girl. He says, remember, these creatures, they take the form of others. They're doppelgangers. They're shifty, intelligent things. He says, don't act like it's like she's one of them because it'll give it away, but be wary of her, huh?
And he looks next to him to Veridus, nods, still smiling though. You might be right, but still, Hieronymus' power will protect us all, and we can't just assume. So
He says, no, one way or another, we'll learn a bit of something from this, I believe. So just be on your toes. Be on your toes. He'll glance over his shoulders, looks at Tiva, Gothas, and Seda. Beside you, Seda, you can see this young lady follows beside you. She's constantly trying to swaddle this baby to get it to calm down a little bit. And she sticks his finger in its mouth, seeming to quiet it down for the moment. She says, I thank you, Miss Dwarf, for trusting me in these times. I hope that we can do something about this. I'm concerned for Robert. And as you all walk, you can see the clouds above start to open up a little bit. A small glimmer of sunshine cascades down to these huge leaves of Yggdrasil. It seems to light the path before you. It's sort of an angelic thing. You can see the golden rays of the sun through the trees, and it seems to shine on Arabellus up ahead, his torch, or his sword, out in front like a torch, this noble-like warrior. Beside him, Veridus. As you all make your way towards what looks to be a fairly basic, small little house, nothing fancy at all. And Veridus will slow up a little bit. You can see the window, the front window, and the door busted down from this place. And you can hear what sounds like a ruckus or fighting going on inside. She says, they're in there. I can hear them.
you stay back. And he looks down at Tiva as if he's measuring her up, and then takes hold of a little ornament on a chain around his neck, which is actually like a little lightning bolt held by a big silver hand. And he holds it out a little bit, still looking down onto her, and he says, "May your sword arm always be strong and the light of Hieronymus guide every strike." And he looks totally proud as he says that. Oh, and I'm casting heroism. Sorry. That wasn't just for fun.
I was like, okay. Thank you.
So, you get...
In fact, you said you were measuring her up. She's only like, what, 2.5 feet tall, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he was basically seeing, oh well, she might die. I'm not meta here. So I give you 1d4 levels of hit points and saving throws. So you roll 1d4.
Okay.
That's why I'm measuring you up didn't take but just a second.
I got a 1.
Okay, so you get...
My dice hate me.
So you get 1 hit dice more hit points. And, well, better than nothing. And
Okay.
you go up, presumably. Let me see if you actually do. Specialist 7. You don't. Okay. So saving throws don't get better, but still.
A few extra hit points, you could use those, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, after Obelus does that for Tiva, of course, again, not wanting to have the glory of the Fandangle shaded in any way, Kothis grabs his holy symbol and effectively shakes it at Seda and goes, "Go get him!" And that's casting a bless. So that would be, in this case, hey, not bad. That would be, so Seda gets 10 points to allocate until dawn the next day for any future die roll
except damage. So it was 4 plus the caster's level, so that would be are we fifth or sixth? We're sixth.
Sixth.
Okay, so yeah, that'd be 10. So to hit rolls, saving throws, skill checks, surprise checks, anything but a damage roll, Rush, you can use those 10 points until dawn the next day, and that's when they expire.
Okay, cool. So part of my research in trying to learn how to role play an individual with an approximate 40 IQ was learning that. So you said that we heard the little things up in the front, right? Okay, so part of that is going to be that the people who are in charge of supervising her are going to have to really learn how to watch what they say. So when you shake your staff at her and you say, go get them, that's exactly what she does.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I immediately grab my shield and pull out the hammer and I go get them.
Say no, don't do it.
You see Seda rush forward. The door is sort of hanging off the hinges a little bit, Seda, so as you bust through, you'll notice briefly as you're going up these steps, Seda, everything around you seems to pixelate almost, or you're not really sure what the word is, but it seems to blur and seems to glitch and seems really weird, Seda. Give me a save versus magic.
All right. Got him a dwarf. So you got to get over it, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm good. I got an 11 over a 10.
So you glance around and something doesn't seem right. You don't know really what it is, and you're not able to kind of wrap your head around this, but you feel that pit in your stomach, and as if something's not quite right. You'll have that urge to sort of stop in front of the door and sort of look back at the others. And you'll all notice, Seda, as she stops, is something's not right, Seda. However, she might recognize that or handle that is up to you.
Okay. So do I see like the creatures or anything? Or?
No, if you come up and you can see the doors ripped off the hinges. Inside, it looks like an living room, but it's just been completely demolished, furniture scattered and broken everywhere. And you can hear the sound of a man fighting inside, screaming in pain, and like this hissing sort of sound. But it comes from across from a room that you can't see into from where you're at in front of this door.
And a hissing sound. Okay. Well, knowing that something's not right, she would probably handle that by thinking to herself, well, there's a fight going on. That's why something's not right. So she would probably nervously make her way in, at least to the doorway, to see what exactly is actually going on.
And what do the rest of you do? You can see beside you, Kothis, this young girl, as you mentioned, for Seda to move forward. You can see like this hope come across her face, is hoping that Seda's going to do something about this. And she looks at you and she's, thank you, and bless the phlegm god or whatever it is you said. I don't know. Please, can you please help Robert? And she starts kind of motioning you all to help her sort of move forward. What does everybody else do?
Well, and Kothis will tell the home's co-owner or resident anyway. Now we will, all in good time. The faith of the Fondongle will carry us through, but let's see what our dwarven friend up here discovers. And then
Alright.
Kothis moves up kind of to the rear and flank of Seda, to maybe try to look in, but without, certainly not going to get in front of our dwarven companion.
Yeah, I'm right behind Seda as well, striding in with purpose.
And what about Tiva? Is she waiting outside, or is she going in as well? You can see Verida steps up, and he starts to go through with Arabelos, sort of cautiously, the sword at the ready.
Oh, am I muted? No, I'm not. So what Tiva's going to do is she's going to kind of hang back, and she's going to go in very softly and very stealthily.
All right.
So,
Why don't you give me a stealth check?
okay. Where's my stealth anyway? Oh, okay, it's 4 pips. And I got a 3.
Nice.
So we have to get under it, right?
Correct. Yep.
Under the number? Okay, that means I made it.
See, as you look around, you can see that one of the windows on the side of this has been smashed out a little bit. And sort of walk along the side of the porch, glance in. So it's not really right with the others, but you can see them across the way, so you can come up behind them or as needed. But it seems like you're kind of off to the side a little bit.
Okay.
As you pass through this door, Seda, you get this weird tingling that runs up your spine. It follows up yours, Arabellos, across Veridus, Kothis. And lastly, Tiva, you'll notice they all sort of stop as they pass through this doorway and into the room, in this sort of confused look on their face. And then you feel it too, this tingling that runs up your spine. Instinctively, you glance over your shoulder at this young lady who's standing in the street holding the baby. But she's not standing in the street anymore. She's standing at what looks to be on a branch of Yggdrasil. All these buildings that you had around you are gone. Instead, you stand on a branch yourself as you're simply looking across a roadway. And all of you, you're not in a building anymore either. You're standing in the middle of a branch. And then there's this high-pitched wailing sound, like almost like a female's scream at the top of its lungs. I need everybody to give me a save versus paralyzation.
Ah, hell.
The buildings around you melt away, the leaves, the roadway. And you find yourself not in the town of Crux. And you feel that that walk that you just took to this house seemed much longer than what it really should have. You glance around, you can see Crux in the distance, probably a good mile or so away. It don't seem like you were walking that far, but yet here you are on one of the branches of Yggdrasil outside of town, surrounded by this woman holding a baby, which is now, you can see, starting to turn into this black, wispy, like smoke.
I knew it.
What is this dark magic?
And these 4 other creatures, they look undead. They look strange. They're females wearing wedding gowns. Their skin just hangs off of their bodies, and their jaws open impossibly wide as they scream in unison with one another. And there's this golden light that radiates out of their chests. If you passed your save, you are good.
Yes.
If you failed your save, then you do not get to take any actions until the next turn, as you are paralyzed for 1 round. So with that said, who's paralyzed? Anybody?
Me.
Of course. I unfortunately, Kothis wasted a 20 on that. I never get 20s. I got a 20. So I'm super duper not unparalyzed. So for whatever that means.
Just
Oh,
gonna
you
say,
are?
thank
You-
God.
Oh, no, you're not. Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. In that case, everybody give me initiative roll. 1d6 plus your dex mod.
I'm not going to bother because I can't do anything anyway.
6.
I got 6 for Kothis.
Let's see. 4 for Seda. 6 for Kothis. 1 for Verdus. What did Arabellos get?
6.
6. And Tiva, what did you get?
Well, I didn't because I can't move anyway.
Well, yeah, you can still throw yourself into the initiative. You're just basically
Oh,
can't do
okay.
anything this turn.
It's D6.
Plus
Yeah.
dexterity.
My dexterity mod. Okay, I got an 8.
8. Nice.
No, I'm sorry, 7.
7.
That's
Alrighty.
An amazingly quick reaction for somebody who can't move.
So you would be up first, but you are paralyzed for the moment as these scream.
My dice hate me.
So, in which case, Kothis, you are up first. These things are surrounding you. There's 4 of them around all of you that are sort of grouped. You're going to be on the outside of these 4, Tiva, since you sort of snuck around the side. But you can see Seda, Arabellos, Veridis, and Kothis all grouped together with these 4, looks like undead bridal maiden type things around them. And this one creature is off a good 20, 30 feet off to the side. You can see that it's starting to crawl away into the shadows. So yeah, Kothis, you are up first, surrounded by these things.
So these things are undead looking. Would Kothis know? I mean, he's going to try to turn undead if he thinks they're undead.
Yeah,
So
they definitely look undead.
Okay, then he's going to cast Turn Undead. When the spell is cast, this is not BX or BECME D&D, so I got to figure out. Okay,
I
so
was
it's
just looking it up because
Yeah.
I wanted to do it too.
Right,
2d6 you have to roll.
D6. Okay, so wow, I got a 10.
Yes.
6, so I'll take that.
Nice.
So I've turned 10 hit dice. Is that right?
I don't have my book here, so I'll leave it up to you guys to decide.
Yeah, looks like that's for 6.
The listed.
Yep.
If the roll is greater than or equal to the listed number, then undead totaling no more than 1d6 plus the level of the casting cleric in hit dice will flee to the best of their ability, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so another D6 then, because I got a total of 10. So, well, that was terrible. I got a 1 that time, but with my level, that's a total of 7.
Huh?
So it looks like, 7 hit die. Yeah, 7 hit dice worth of whatever these things are will flee to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
Not sure how well they'll do on a tree branch, but there you go.
Maybe they'll fall off.
Yeah, right.
And they do that on their turn?
That's a good question.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah,
'Cause they can't flee on your turn, so.
yeah. It
Okay.
just says will flee to the best of their ability for the duration of the spell.
Gotcha.
Which
Which is
is
how long?
1d4 plus 2, so it would be 4 turns. 2 plus 2.
4 turns. 4. Gotcha. All right. And then that would put Arabellos. You are up next. You can see, well, 2 of these creatures start to shy away. They put their hands up, these decaying hands sort of in front of their faces. They back up a few steps.
How many were there all in all?
4 of them total surrounded you.
4. Oh, okay. Well, if my colleague does such a great job, I can just finish the other 2, right? So I grab my shield from my back. Oh, actually, where do I put my shield? If I have wings there, so I have my shield somewhere, and I take it, and I try to sink my sword into one of the other 2 non-affected ones. 16, 17.
That would be a hit.
Uh, 3 damage. Yes.
Got it. All right. 3 damage on 1. Is that, I'm assuming, not one of the ones that looks like it's going to leave?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Anything else?
Dark magic retreat.
All right. Yeah, you'll see these 2, that'll put them up. So you see 2 of them put their hands up, and they start to scurry away. It's sort of strange when you watch them do this, Kothis. They flee across the branch to try to get away from you, but you can see that they start to crawl towards where there's light coming through some of the trees and sunlight coming down onto the branch. It looks like they're moving towards the light. The two other ones are going to slink in. One on you, since you hit right there and attacked one Arabella, so this attack is on you. Ooh, that's a natural 20. Look at that.
Oh, great. Great start.
There's no crits, but
There
that's
we go.
okay. What's the damage? 4, 6, 10 points of damage as these claws come across, scrape into your chest, ignoring your loin cloth
I think you
bandolier
made a
that you
mistake
have.
there.
And I actually need a save versus paralyzation on you.
Oh, man. Yeah, I made it.
You made it. So as this thing strikes across, you can feel its claws dig across your skin. 10 points of damage, but you're going to lose 1 hit point permanently. So raise whatever your maximum hit point is, drop it by 1.
Wow.
And you can feel your limbs start to sort of sway a little bit. You can feel your leg jig out a little. It's sort of this strange, almost like it was compelling your movement, but it subsides quickly. The other one will come in on you, Kothis, with a 17, which I believe probably hits.
Yikes. Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Only 5 points of damage, but I need a save versus paralyzation.
All right. Excellent. He made it with a 17.
All right. And in your 5 points of damage, you're going to lose 1 hit point permanently, so reduce your max by 1. And you again have the same thing. It looks like you just have this urge to want to start dancing, Kothis, but you push it to the side of your brain for the moment. And the other two start running towards the sunlight, so they're going to move 30 feet away from you guys. And that puts Seda, you are up. You can see one is on Kothis, one is on Arabellos. The other two are running away. And this porcelain masked visage creature, it's moving away too. It's about 40 feet away from you.
Okay. I'm probably going to go for the one on Kothis at the moment, because I still don't know Arabellos that well.
Now you're talking.
So, I did not write down, and I forgot to look up. Does anybody know how much that hammer? It was basically a mace, right?
I'm not sure if it'll be categorized as a war hammer or a mace, but again,
Well, okay.
let's see.
Is the damage the same?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Where'd it go? Well, I just had it. Okay, there we are. Yeah, it looks like they'd be listed the same.
So what was that, a D6 or?
Yeah, D6.
Okay.
I don't know though. Hang on just a second. I don't want to short you.
Do you remember, Micah?
Are you talking about Turn Undead?
No, your hammer that you used, what the damage was?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no. That would be. It's considered a medium weapon, so it'd be 1d8.
My weapon was. What is it? Hammer ram 1d8.
All right. So I'm gonna keep the shield on this time, and I'm gonna go for the one that's on Kothis, and just try to smash it right in the head. So I should have a +6 attack bonus with that as well, unless it's special. I don't know. So that gives me, with the +6, that gives me a 17.
That is a hit.
Smash, smash, smash. And that's right, there is no bonus damage. This one.
Just
Okay.
what you roll.
That's so weird. That's still a weird concept to me. That your strength doesn't increase your damage at all.
Just the hit.
That's fine. I got a 6 on a D8, so I hit him for 6 points of damage.
Gotcha.
Smash.
Off to the side, you guys can see this visage, and it sort of stops. It floats up a few feet in the air behind some of these leaves and in the shadows a little bit. You can see this green light coming from its eyes. And these two creatures, these undead things that are running away from you, Kothis, you see they stop and sort of look around, almost like they're confused or something. They wander back and forth a moment, They turn and they can see something. They seem to lock eyes with you, Kothos, and then they just start running back towards you again.
Oh, well, that's terrific.
And Veridas is up. He will step over next to you, Arabellos, and start swinging at this one. He does good, too. Comes through, and you can see he lashes out with his rapier and just takes a big slash across the chest of this thing. Opening up this desiccated, it seems to ooze this black ichor and dried, crusty sort of blood stuff that falls from its chest. And he does a decent amount of damage. And it's the end of the round. So now, Tiva, new round, you can move and do something this turn. You are sort of behind everybody else. So the two that are on, well, the one that's on Kothos and the one that is on Arabellos and Veritas do not see you. You're muted.
Sorry. I'm going to knock an arrow and shoot at the one that is going after Kothos.
All right.
All right, let's see. So we still
You're on your own, Arabellos, for now.
Well, that chainmail loincloth is,
What?
Veritas is helping her out.
And we don't trust Arabellos yet.
The best,
Wow.
the best part of him is being protected, though.
Wow.
Just like, wow.
Okay, let's see. So
This
my
is-
attack bonus is a +5. So we still roll a d20, right?
Yep.
Okay. I got a 15 and then +5.
Yeah.
It's 20, so that is a hit. And you're going to have whatever your sneak attack pips are, you're going to do your damage times that.
All right, so my sneak attack pips are 3. I have 3 sneak attack pips.
All right, so whatever your damage is times 3.
One for my damages.
Holy shit. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, you tend to forget,
Where's my
right?
damage?
Fear.
Oh, it's a d6. Okay. Yeah, I don't ever get to hit anything.
You should do this more often.
Well, I'm trying. Oh, I got a 1.
The queen of minimum damage.
Give your wife a set of new dice, please.
She's got.
I got tons.
You've seen how many sets she has. I don't think that's the problem.
No, I think it's just me. I'm cursed.
Well, that's
Okay,
better.
I rolled another one just for the heck of it. I got a 4. So yeah, so that would be 4. Now there is something that I've never paid attention to before. It says surprise chance. It has 4 pips. I don't understand.
That's for if
Getting
someone
surprised.
sneaks up on you or something. If you're surprised.
Trying to surprise you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 damage.
Gotcha. All right, Kothos, you are up. There is one on you, and you can see the other two. They look really confused. Well, as best as undead, decaying maiden brides look confused, but seem to be running towards you at the moment. You can see that it's because of something that this visage is doing.
And where is the visage relative to us?
He's up in the air, but he's about 40 feet away from you, about 30 feet out and about 10 feet up.
Gotcha.
Looks like he's getting ready to float up into the tree.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to take a flask of holy water, which I have, and I'm going to uncork it. And if there's one on me, then I don't have to throw it and risk the 25% chance that it won't break. I can just dump it on it for full
Yep.
damage, right?
Yep,
Or for-
you sure can.
or roll. All right, well, that's what I'm doing. So,
All right.
do you need it to hit roll, or is it just roll for?
No, it's right there. I mean,
Excellent. I don't have to worry about missing with my imitation of a staff. So, well, I'll take it. That's 5.
gotcha. This thing lets out a screech as it stumbles back. These huge burns start covering across its body. And you can see this golden light just starting to pour forth from it. Arabellos, you are up.
So we didn't discuss my short flight ability. How does that?
Just use it in the narrative. I basically figured it would only work for like 1 or 2 rounds before you have to drop down. And you won't just fall. You'll just kind of glide back down to the ground sort of thing.
Okay, so so you said one of the visages was getting ready to float up, right?
Yes.
So I guess I will show off my short flight abilities and like try to keep it on the ground while, well, the goal would maybe be to like punch the sword through its mask hole, and by that like keeping it on the ground, you know. Rush, wake up.
I'm
Here,
awake.
I'll throw my bad dice at you.
I just have a headache, so I'm just
Oh,
while
sorry.
I'm listening, I'm just resting my eyes.
So yeah, it's basically a called shot, I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead and just give me an attack roll.
Okay. Only 12.
That is not quite good enough. So as you sort of leap through the air, you can see this one swipes at you that you were next to and missing you, and launch yourself towards this creature. It's starting to lift itself up. Your blade's going to pass through some of the wispy parts of its body, not really striking anything solid, but it'll back off a few feet as you come to land again on this branch. You can see that it's still slowly lifting itself up into the air.
And just for the others, for their imagination, so as Irobellos tries to lift off, do you know those fat birds which start flying from out of a pond? Those? They basically have to like start a few times and plunge down into the water again until they can finally lift off from the ground. That's how he looks. Like a fat bird getting out of a pond. Yeah.
That's actually the name of my memoirs, Fat Bird Getting Out of the Pond.
All right. These two that seem to be fleeing away from you, Kothis, they sort of go in circles a little bit, and they don't seem like they're really fleeing away from you, but they look confused, as if they don't know where they're going, as they seem to stumble about. And they are not going to come in with reach of you yet, so they are still out of range, but they're not an immediate threat. The one on you, however, again, swipes out 17, 20. I'm rolling really well today.
Thanks.
Ooh, that's not as good either. Let's see. It's going to be 7 points of damage. I need a save versus paralyzation.
Okay.
I did not make the save versus paralyzation. How much damage did you say? Is Owen 7 points?
7 points of damage.
Okay.
3 points permanent, so reduce your max HP by 3.
Yikes. Okay.
And you are compelled to dance for, let's see how many turns. Only one turn, so your next turn you're just compelled to dance.
Well, I'm shaking my groove thing.
And the other one is on Verdus, since what's his name ran out of the way. Ooh, and completely misses Verdus, so he's good. No, you sort of swipe. You guys will notice Kothis off to the side, looking worse and worse, and slowly starts to move his body a little bit. And this creature that's in front of him, too, seems to begin to move in mimicry of what Kothis is doing. This golden light in its chest getting brighter and brighter and brighter. Seda, you are up.
Trying to.
So it's only one that's on Kothis right now?
Yep.
All right,
There's two flying around that are basically fleeing. One's on Kothis, one's on Verdus.
I'm going to keep working on the one that's on Kothis. And try and, basically I'm standing behind it, I think. So, trying to smash it. With my +6, that gives me a 16?
Right on the money.
Ah, I was worried about that one.
So was I.
Thank God. 6. This time, 7 points of damage. Smack.
That's not looking good. Let's see, Seda. Where you are at,
13.
Arabellus. Arabellus, this visage above you, you can see that it just lets itself drop these long ivory claws slashing at you. She's going to make a couple attacks on you. See, I got a 24 and a 14. Well, so only one of those hits.
Hey, I'm rolling up another character soon.
Eight
Sorry.
Wow.
8 points of damage. You take, Arabellis.
Jesus.
Yikes.
The claws sink
Once
in.
again, max HP?
Nope, this was the Visage, so not the other things that steal HP.
Okay.
So
Okay.
as it sinks in, and you can feel yourself as it sinks these claws in, and it sort of shoves you back. You can feel yourself falling back, and then nothing behind you. And as you look over your shoulder, you can see yourself stepping off the edge of this branch. Give me a save versus magic, please.
Boy. 10 magic. No,
No, as in it doesn't get you, or no, as in you fail.
I didn't make it.
Didn't they? So as you step back, you see that you're right at the edge of this branch, and you fall back as you go over the side of this branch
Oh, dang.
and start to fall.
Oh, dang.
And Veridus, let's see what he does as he turns and attacks this one on him. Man, he's rolling good. Nice. You can see in Veridus, when you glance over at him, this one that he's battling quickly swipes across its chest, down its leg, and then part of it is in their thigh. This creature stumbles a little bit back. Seems to be holding his own quite well. At this end of the round, so Tiva, you are up.
Okay, so she's going
You're
to.
muted.
No, she's not. Well, I can hear her.
Yeah, I can hear through your mic. She's going to knock another arrow and attack the one that is going after Kothis again.
All right. Now let me see if he's aware of you. He is not at the moment. He's focused on Kothis, so you'll add your thing again.
Okay. I got an 18 plus 5.
So, yep, that's it.
All right. Let's see what I actually do. I got a 3 plus 3.
Three
So
times
6.
3.
3 times 3, so 9.
Wait, 3 times 3?
Yep.
Oh, so that means the last time I said
It
4
should have been
damage.
3, but yeah.
3, I got it already. You're fine.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yep.
'Cause
This time it's 9.
Nope,
20.
you're both good. This time the thing sort of glances over and locks eyes with you for a moment, and you get the sense that it definitely knows you're there now, Tiva. The other one, though, fighting Veridus, isn't paying too much attention, you'll notice. Kothis, you are up. This one in front of you getting pelted by a couple arrows, smashed by a hammer, poured with holy water. It's looking pretty rough, but it's still standing.
I'm going to hit it with holy water again.
All right.
Kothis is, he's might be confused, but he knows his strengths and his weaknesses, and one of his strengths is his ability in his downtime to make holy water with the bless spell. So he's going to hit this one with, well, okay, we'll take it again. It's another 4. So 4 points of damage.
This another huge wound opens up across the torso of this one, this blinding golden light in his chest. You can see what looks to be a small, about a fist-sized orb in the center of this chest of this thing, just pulsating with gold energy, getting brighter and brighter with each time you hit it. Arabellis, you are up. You can feel yourself falling backwards and just falling through the air.
Is there anything to grab?
There's branches and large leaves and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, let's grab that and stop the fall.
Give me a strength or dexterity, your choice. 1d20.
Yeah, I made
Roll
it.
under. Okay. Yeah, get yourself on these few branches and stuff. As all of you look over, you can see Arabellis laying on the branch in the middle of this pathway, scrambling, reaching out, trying to grab a hold of things as this visage keeps floating higher and higher in the trees. But it looks like your new friend has completely just confused or not sure what's going on, but he's basically just scrambling across the ground, grabbing at leaves and twigs.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
But to you, you can see yourself as you grab a hold of a branch and skip it down it a few times, finally hanging on. And you glance around, you can hear this loud, buzzing sort of sound. Arabellis, and glance. And beside you, this massive hornet nest hanging in the tree as they start to crawl out from their hive, buzzing around you. Give me a save versus magic to see if you realize what's going on there, Bellows.
11. No. Oh.
Yes, you see these hornets just pouring out from this thing. Give me a save versus breath weapon then.
7. No.
They all start swarming around. You can feel the stings as they tear through your arms. And these are large, quite large, dog-sized hornets.
Ow! 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 Ow!
13 points of damage, Arabellis.
What? I'm dead.
As you scramble about, you can see Arabellis with his sword just continues to impale himself, stabbing at his arms, stabbing at his legs as he scrambles around on the ground. Seem to be lost in some sort of vision. I will get back to you in a moment, Arabellis.
Great.
Maybe.
Let's see. Those two are still fleeing for one more round. So you see those two that you turned, Kothis, as they sort of wander about in circles, but they're not really running away from you, but they're still away from you in a sense. And the one on Verdus misses. And the one, actually with Seda right there, you're going to see this one turn towards you since Kothis is looking a little bit roughed up, and you keep smashing into it. And it turns on you, Seda. I got a 14. Does that hit you or not?
Hold on. 14 against me?
Yep.
No.
Okay.
My armor class with the shield is 17.
All right, cool. So yeah, this thing gives a swipe towards you. I'm not quite connecting with anything. Verdus misses. So Seda, you are up. This one swiping at you, trying to get a hold of you.
Screw that one. We got to get this one off of Kothis. So I'm going to try one more time. Yeah, okay. That's going to be an 18 with the +6. 19 with the +6 bonus.
Let us hit.
And this time it's going to be 5 more points of damage.
That means Kothis, Seda, and Verdus. You all are right there. Everybody give me a save versus breath weapon. Kothis, Seda, and Verdus. Well, I got Verdus.
Thank God I'm a dwarf.
Made it. Right. Barely made it, but made it. 14.
12 over 10.
All right. So if you pass, you only take half damage. So if you failed, you take 5. If you pass, you take 2 points of damage. When you strike this thing, Seda, the whole thing just explodes in shards of golden light. It's like glass that cuts through your skin, across your face, and buries into you. And it burns like fire when it touches you. And you destroyed that one.
Seda barely notices.
And that would be it for those. So Seda, you are up.
If you had your little
Oh no, sorry. Visage. He's doing his thing. So Verdus. Ooh. Let's see. Well, Verdus will destroy his too, so I need a Saver's Breath weapon from Kothis. Seda, Verdus again.
I didn't make it that time.
I did.
All right. If you did, you're going to take 3 points. If you didn't, 6.
Dwarf saving throws are just the best.
As this one explodes, and that would be up to the top. Tiva, you would be up. You see the two that Kothis turned, stop where they are. They look around and then start rushing towards Kothis as the turn undead has worn off now. But otherwise, there's 2 of those, and then there's the Visage going up into the tree. You can see Arabellis on the ground, flatting up, slashing about and tearing at his own skin before he just goes limp.
How many are coming at us now?
2 more.
And we still have the one that just killed Arabellis, right?
That is the Visage. So you got 2 of these undead creatures coming towards you, and then the Visage, which is disappearing up into the trees.
Okay.
Okay.
We got this, guys.
What now?
We got this, guys.
We got this, guys. Okay, so the 2 that are running towards Kothis, do they see me? Or am I still kind of hidden?
Let's see if either one notice you. They both completely, so no, neither one really paying attention to you.
So I'm going to attack one of them.
All right.
All right. And I got a 1.
Good try.
Fine. I tried.
This bolt sticks into the branches, probably burying itself right next to Arabellus as he lays on the ground, bleeding out. Arabellus, or no, Kothis, you are up.
Okay, so Arabellus is down.
Yep.
Not being terribly familiar with the rule set, I have a Cure Light Wounds, but is Arabellus not beyond the help of a Cure Light Wounds?
Oh no, hasn't been up yet, so she hasn't rolled, or Mike hasn't rolled her 1d20
Gotcha.
to see what happens. So yep, you can go.
Okay, in that case,
Do it.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cast a Cure Light Wounds, which should be 1d6 plus my level. Oh, cool, 10. 4 plus 6. So, so be 10.
Awesome. Do I still see the weird shit?
Well, give me a save. No, you would have went under. So no, you would have found yourself just laying on the branch.
Oh, I thought I was falling.
Kothis will say, so don't stab yourself next time.
What?
And then pivot back to the things coming at us.
What are you talking? Oh!
Corona Hootie What didn't serve you well back there. That's all I'm saying. Look, you need some fondongle in your life, I'm thinking, Arrow. Just saying.
You should stop trying to offer people your fondongle. Bad touching.
All right. In that case, Arabellus, you are up.
Okay, realizing that still the shit is going on,
Look around. You can't see the vis. You can tell where it's at. You can see like the smoky trail rising up into the branches above you, and then you can see the two undead creatures running basically away from you towards where Seda, Veritas, and Tiva are.
okay, so for the moment I let the visage go. Can I do anything interesting here? No, not really. Although I'll turn undead now.
Oh man, I forgot, Kothis. You were dancing this round.
Oh.
Oh
So
wait,
you can-
I thought you already skipped me for one round.
Or did I
Oh,
miscount?
that would have been your turn right there. So you would be dancing your way over to Arabellus, but
Oh, okay. I
you wouldn't
understand.
be able to cast Cure Light Wounds this turn.
Oh, that's very true.
Sorry, Arabellus. I need a 1d20 then. As Kothis dances and grooves his way
Can't do
towards
like
you.
James Bond and just be like, get up!
I
Get up!
didn't make it.
Going up!
So yeah, you'd be dancing your way over to where he is on the ground, but you can't cast your spell this turn, not until
Oh
next.
shit.
So in that case, sorry, Arabellus, but you need a 1d20 roll to see. And don't get a 1.
A 5.
Ooh.
Give me a... Well, I'll let you pick odd or even.
Odd.
All right. You're going to lose your left hand.
Listen.
It's at the forearm. So you can see what's left of Arabellus. This swipe as it finally brings his sword down on his arms, just cutting cleanly right across the forearm as his body lays still for the moment.
Looking actually very pleased with his
parts.
Probably, yeah.
Imagine, Arabellus, as you just see one of these huge hornets latch onto your hand and you feel like there's just nothing you can do but take the arm at the
Yeah.
elbow.
I mean, that makes totally sense, so yeah.
So give yourself 1 hit point as you lose your basically left hand. And now, Arabellus, you would be up. What do you do?
Ah! And in reflex, scream for help from Hieronymus and casting Cure Light Wounds. Actually, that's pretty good. So 12 points.
Woo.
I'm back to 13.
All right.
Still screaming, and at the same time, looking around confusedly.
All right. Let's see, these two undead creatures will rush in, one on Veritas, striking him heavily right across the chest. Not doing too bad damage, though. And the other one for Seda, I got a 21, which would be a hit. 7 points of damage, Seda, and I need a save versus paralyzation. Sorry.
Sorry, we were making jokes.
Oh, he was making jokes.
At the expense of poor Arabellis.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
People. Wow.
And we are not going to tell said John, considering he's already had issues with his content being flagged.
Ah!
Oh, that's.
I don't care if it's flagged or not.
Yeah.
I said, hey, Arabellas, you're not left-handed, are you? Because otherwise your sex life is going to go right in the toilet. But it was much funnier when we did it the first time. All right. Save versus what?
Paralyzation.
Oh, I got it right on the money at 8.
All right, so you were good there, but you're going to take 7 points of damage and lose 2 permanently.
Ah, son of a bitch.
Ooh.
Yeah, these things suck.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Let's see, both of those are up. The visage is just going to keep getting away, so you will start to see this image melt around you, Arabellis, as it gives way, and you realize something was controlling your senses and what you saw and smelled and heard and everything. And Veritas will just attack this one that's on him and completely miss. So, Tiva, you are up. There's 2 of these come in, one on Seda, one on Veritas.
Do they still not see me?
Probably not. No. Nope.
Okay. All right. I got a 6.
Not quite as another arrow just flashes off into the trees. Kothis, you are up as you finally dance your way over next to Arabellis, who seems to pick himself up at this point. What does your dance look like? What dance move does Kothis have?
Yeah, I would like.
Oh, he's just flossing his way along the branch, you know. He doesn't understand it, but he's doing it. Like
the
most
shuffle.
things. Yeah, like most things with Kothis. He doesn't understand it, but he's doing it anyway.
The Fandangle shuffle.
Yes, exactly. Flossing for the fawn.
Nice.
Okay, so I've grooved my way over to Arabellis, but Arabellis seems like he's up and somewhat better now.
Yeah, he's screaming at you. He's screaming right in your face, like, "Ah, pain! Incredible pain!"
Well, yes, don't. That's sorry you hacked it yourself. Well, we got stuff to do.
Oh
So,
my god!
Kothis will actually turn at this point and cast a Cure Light Wounds on himself because he's not feeling too well after the last few rounds. So that would be, come on, that could have been better. Okay, well, a 3 plus a 6, I'll take it. That's 9.
Right.
But now that doesn't affect the reduction in max hit points. It's
that
just
is-
temporary, right?
Correct, yeah, that max hit points is permanent. These are nasty. So,
Okay.
Arabellis, you are up.
Oh! And now turn undead. Those shitters.
You can't cast that with one hand, right?
Listen.
Just saying. It's not a Morgan game until somebody loses a limb.
That's right.
One. She lost a limb on her last character.
Yeah, I haven't lost a limb, but I've just about lost a vital organ.
You lost an eye.
Lost an eye.
Oh, yeah. That's not really a limb, though.
I rolled a 9.
Oh shoot, I haven't lost one yet.
I rolled an 11 and hit dice. 8 hit dice of fuckers.
8 hit dice for how many rounds?
Oh. Actually, I just have to continue, right? To scream or whatever. So.
Be 1d4 plus 2 turns.
Oh, okay. 2 plus so 4.
Nice.
4
Okay.
turns.
So you'll see these two that are on Seda and Tiva turn and glare at you for a moment, Arabellos. And they look like they're going to start coming towards you as you let out this scream, this energy from your god and your patron, your anger
And
and
pain.
pain. And it just shoves these things. You can see like they buffeted by wind as they blow back a little bit, and they start to scurry down the branch away from you, floating away. So yeah, they're going to basically start moving away. The visage is done and out of sight. So that would technically be the end of combat as these two are running away. They're fleeing from you unless you want to follow them. I don't know, it's up to you guys. You'll see them moving away though.
Hell no. I learned my lesson now.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I'm kind of if they're running away.
I came out of this one relatively unscathed. I think I'm okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I was definitely scathed.
Skate.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
Hear this wispy sort of cackling up in the branches above you that fades away. And what time? Let's see. 5? Yeah. Why don't we take like a 5-minute break and then we'll finish off for the evening.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Say he finishes us off.
All right, grab my beverage.
If someone is watching, my cat is snoring. Think you can hear her. So Morgan, for my next character, I would like to.
So you're like 2 hours in and you're already losing limbs and.
It's starting like the last time, just that it is a hand now, not like a hunch.
Yeah, those are kind of nasty monsters. They're not very strong, but they do 2d6 damage, and the lower of the 2 dice, they lose permanently.
Yeah, those are little shits. Jesus.
And then they explode when you kill them, which I actually have to have them roll for just in case, because that has repercussions too. Yeah, they are the spirits of young women and girls who died violent deaths right before their weddings, driven mad with pain or anger.
You see, that's exactly the thing Hero Bellis has to, go after. Those poor souls.
You don't have a two-handed sword, do you?
No, I have a shield and I will strap it to my
Stump.
stump. I have plans.
The one did nail Veritas for 6 permanent damage, though, because I rolled a 12 on his damage.
Wow. Wow.
He has decent hit points, so he only took the 1 hit, but that permanent 6 is a bit rough.
Jeez. That's a lot.
Actually, I'll see if he makes his saves now. I need Seda and Kothis to give me saves when they get back. Man, I was hoping to get everybody dancing.
Forget it.
Do the mamba.
You had enough triumph.
I'm excited to see how our other Avernus game goes. Looks like we should have a pretty cool group for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Well,
I have a question.
I have a request too, but you go first.
Okay. So I'm looking in the book, and I cannot, for the life of me, when I look under combat and under specialist, cannot find the actual rule on sneak attack.
It is not under that. It's under specialist.
Yeah, I looked under specialist, and it's like 1 page.
Yeah.
But it mentions it in there somewhere.
The reason I ask is her character sheet has something that says sneak attack +2, and I'm trying to figure out, is there an extra 2 hit bonus when you're doing sneak attack? Actually, specialist is only damn 1 page of.
So yeah, if a specialist has any points in sneak attack, he automatically gets a +2 bonus to hit along with any other bonuses he already has.
Oh.
And when use of this ability is attempted, the player must roll a d6 if the result is equal to blah, 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 and then it multiplies the number of pips times the damage. So 3 damage and 3 pips would be 9 damage total.
But I mean, if you roll a 1, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I know, but where do you see that? Because I'm just
It's on
blind.
the specialist page. I don't know, like the 1, 2, 3, 5th paragraph or so. I don't know what, if you have a book or something, but
I've got the actual book.
oh, then yeah, it's right under specialist, under the big block that says specialist. That first paragraph right under it,
Oh, okay. Oh,
right at
shit.
the end of the paragraph.
Those two bonuses hit. Okay. All right. So you get +7 to hit.
When using the sneak.
All right.
Ah, that means I.
It's very possible I would have had an opportunity to actually hit something.
But that's our fault for not taking the time to know the
Okay.
rules. Request, you said.
Yes, so I need a save versus poison, or I'm sorry, save versus. Save versus poison from Seda and from Kothas when he gets back.
I got an 8 over 6, so I'm good. It's just not you.
Nope, you are good then.
He didn't need one from you.
Oh, I thought he needed it from
Nope, it'll be from Kothas when he gets back.
Oh.
It's like I rolled an 8. I said, but I only need a 6. Thank God I'm a dwarf.
Okay, so when you do a save, it has to be below that
No,
number
over.
or above?
Above.
It doesn't have to be above.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
that number or above.
Okay. Well, then I would have failed.
Yeah. That's why my highest save is a 10. That's why I
Oh,
keep
okay.
saying thank God I'm a dwarf, because I'm
Mhm.
a 50 chance. My worst saving throw, I have a 50-50 chance of making it. So, the poison is my best one. All I need is a 6.
I
Are
am.
you back with us, Kothas?
I am.
I need a save versus poison from you, please.
Need a save versus poison. That would be. I think I made it, but let me. Oh yeah, I made it. Wow, I only have to make a 9. I got 11, but I only have to make a 9 for save versus poison. Cool.
Right. You both will notice the burning that comes from these little shards of glass when these things exploded, sinking into your flesh, but you don't get any adverse effects from it, so you're both good. Viridus wasn't as lucky. He had some side effects, but that's okay.
So Seda, the first thing she's going to do is picking these shards of glass out of her face. She's going to walk over to Arabella's and immediately reach into her bag with her expertly trained medical knowledge.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Pull out a rag and just like grab his arm without his permission and just immediately start wrapping and tying this like wadded up bandage on the end of his nub.
Oh!
And then she pokes him right in the gut really hard and says, "Stop crying, you big baby," and then keeps tying it. It's going to get infected.
I'm seeing an entire product line, Seda's stuff. This one is called Nub Wrap. You know,
Right.
ouchie goo. You can come up with all kinds of stuff.
It's literally a handful of dirt. So rub some dirt on it.
Yes.
Well, we may know somebody who might be able to give a fake arm or a fake hand.
No, not really. She's dead.
Is she dead?
Yeah.
The one who built the leg for Zan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
She's dead.
Himmel, she's dead.
Mm.
Seda tells you should get a hook so you can be a pirate.
Oh!
Wrapping.
As you bind Arabella's wounds and everybody sort of gets back together, you can see these undead creatures just flee away from you, out of sight. It seems that they're gone for the moment being, and you can hear the cackling of this visage creature as it fades away, leaving you out here in the middle of nowhere on the branch of Yggdrasil. Veritas will take a seat, sort of stabs the end of his rapier into the bark. Says, I knew we should not have trusted that girl, but says, what am I to do? This is what I've dealt with for the past months. People trying to kill me, people saying they're one thing and yet being another. Says, whatever has come to Crux, it's evil. It wishes me dead. It wishes to destroy the town. It wishes to destroy Yggdrasil. Just like Zan said, I was a fool not to listen to him. I should have listened more. Says, Seda, Tiva, you remember the squirrel folk, the Ratatosk, yes?
Yes, I do.
Says they too have, well, they've always acted a little strange. And when you come, they were acting even stranger. But now, these creatures, these visages, it seems they have some sort of handle, some sort of hold over death. This is the Ratatosk. They've been dying by their tribes, bunches, their bodies flailed across the branches of Yggdrasil, only to rise again, much like these creatures we saw, these golden chests, something within them, driving them forward. This entire tribes of the creatures have been seen scouring the branches at night, these golden flashes seen in the darkness. Says, I feel there's a few of the squirrel folk left, and those that are twisted and confused, diseased, poisoned, their minds warped. He says, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I feel my town, my people, my friends, everything is crumbling around us already. And he sort of just hangs his head and, scuffs his feet at the bark that he's sitting on at the moment.
Arabellus is trying to kind of strap his shield over, well, not on his stump, but behind it, kinda, and it hurts a shit ton, but he's trying not to scream again while he's pressing from between his lips like something like, oh, I have to take care of this. Those creatures, demons, abnormalities.
He'll motion, Vertus does, at the two that are dead on the ground. Says, I knew them, townsfolk. Both sisters. Well, all of them were at one time, all four. And he looks over his shoulder where the other two had fled away. They were to be married a few years ago. All four of them murdered in their sleep. Whatever these visage creatures are, it seems even the dead can't be left in peace.
So and this is out of character, so the two sisters that were laying on the ground, they were both dead at one point?
Yes.
Okay, so Veritas actually knew that they had already been dead.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So they're basically just taking bodies and just bringing them back to life, or taking the form of them.
I mean, you guys saw Zan's dad as well, so that's basically the same, right?
Yeah.
So that's
So they're either taking their existing bodies or just taking the form of them, because just like with the one that was when Kothis was dancing, it was dancing too. So it was basically mimicking. So it was almost, and it makes me wonder if the glowing in their chest was how they absorb the likeness of somebody else.
Oh, okay.
So, because he was meant, because that's what Morgan had said, is he was doing the exact same thing that Kothis was doing. So it sounds like he was trying to, and the light chest was getting brighter and brighter. So it was like he was absorbing Kothis. So, but we stopped it.
Thanks.
Huh.
Welcome.
He was doing the fandango floss too, or it was.
Exactly.
Yep. So my theory is that these are kind of like the pod people. If anyone has ever seen any of the versions of Invasions of the Body Snatchers, that's kind of what these are. Except they're not alien. Well, they could be alien. I don't think so. I think they're some otherworldly creature, though.
Yeah, it's a demon. So Irobellis actually had the information that they are Tanari, or the Visages.
The
Actually.
Visages are, yes.
They are Tanari. Demons or devils?
Teneri are demons
Demons.
from the abyss, which is very important.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, and they basically demon energy mixed with godly energy, probably from those already dead.
So yeah, Erebos, you would know from what you did, and kind of like what I told you, but that these visage creatures, they're a combination of undead demons combined with the energy from destroyed deities. You do know that there's 11 deities that have been killed.
Yeah. So it can only get worse. Yeah, so while we're sitting there and kind of contemplating and taking care of our wounds, I would again go into the details a little bit more about the demons and what I already know. So basically that, and that now 11 gods are dead. And
also for like Seda and Tiva and Kothos, don't forget back when you did fight the one in Set's realm, when you guys finally killed it, it turned into Butterspoon's body that was dead.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So where are we exactly? We're just on a branch on this tree.
Yeah, Veritas will look around and says, I know where we are. Motion to the distance. He says, when we were coming here, it didn't seem like it was that long, but I think it was that visage creature messing with our minds. We're at least 3 hours from Crux. Says, I can get us back, but he looks at Eurobellos and says, perhaps we should visit the lightning scar that is only a few hours away from here as well. Because I don't know the exact route, but I know where it is roughly. It says, we're already out here, and, well, I heard that something is happening there, and you did as well, perhaps. That would be better. I simply I don't wish to go back to Crux right now.
I agree. And he gets up, testing his shield arm, literally, swinging around a little bit. Hieronymus, what did you do to me?
He'll motion at these two dead bodies. And we must pay attention. The Yggdrasil is filled with the Ratatosk. And as I said, many of them too are like these young ladies now. I fear if we were to get ambushed by a tribe of them, we would not last. Keep your eyes open there.
Tiva's gonna nod her head, and I think we should move away from this spot and go somewhere else. Even if we're just gonna camp for the night, we need to move, because since they all knew that this is where we were last, more may come. Because we had two that ran off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, the two that Arabello's turned would return.
Yeah, so
yeah, you would get the feeling they'd probably return fairly shortly, Kothos. Right. So with that, Veritas will stand up and take a deep breath, put his rapier back in its sheath, sort of loose, and look around. Yeah, Bellos, if you wish to go with me, we shall visit the scar. I can only hope the rest of you will join us. I wish I could offer guidance and what we will find there. I fear it will be worse than what is in Crux, but a part of me has to know, and it seems like our new friend has been guided there as well. I would understand if you wish to leave, but I hope that you can at least help us save this for Zan's purpose, even. But no pressure.
Kothis takes a look at his even more worn robes with additional holes and torn, ragged bits after this latest encounter, and he says, well, as I like to frequently recall the words of the elder of my order who brought me along this glorious path of the light of the Fandangle, Howard of Jones, he said, things can only get better. So, yes, I want to go to the star.
Well, Tiva looks over at Seda and says, well, I will speak for Seda and myself. We will go because there's definitely safety in numbers.
Yes, there is. There is indeed, Tiva. He'll come over and he sort of rests a hand on your shoulder and says, thank you. Says, there needs to be more people like yourselves in this world, people you can trust and turn to in such times. Says, I may not have been completely honest with all of you, and there's some things that should be left silent. And in due time, perhaps I can share what knowledge I know when there's not other ears listening, but you could trust that I will at least be by your side. I will happily die if I have to save you.
Well, she nods and says, well, hopefully it will not come to that. Hopefully we will all live through this.
Indeed, indeed. And with that, he'll turn and start walking down the branch off into the distance. All of you follow, I assume.
Oh, yes.
It is roughly midday as you all begin to move down this branch. You can see the sunlight filtering down through the trees here and there. You'll pass several other branches that are now just covered in this black fungus, this sort of sooty slime that covers them, dead and decaying. Much more prominent than when you were here once before. It seems that no matter where you look and where you are, you can at least see a branch here or there that is now dead. Even some of the larger, more prominent ones, they're starting to be covered by this black decay. You'll pass a few here and there as you make your way down the branch, and it seems as if you start to circle around this branch, breaking off into another. Here and there, there's these large, what look to be grapevines, but much, much larger, that Veritas slides down, getting between different places. And after about an hour, he'll stop and points ahead. In the distance, just around the bend and past the copse of leaves ahead, is the lightning sky. It should be noted to keep your eyes. This area was once a holy cathedral or a holy place for the giant eagles of Yggdrasil. And well, their followers too were the Ratatosk. The two often led side by side for one another. The Ratatosk believed the eagles to be not gods, but what you would call proxies or patrons, avatars of Yggdrasil. They looked at them as, and he looks at you, Arabelos, as angels of sorts. He says, keep your eyes for those golden orbs, just in case they try to ambush us. And we should move ahead quietly. Everybody give me a search check, please.
I failed.
Not even close. Not even close.
And that's a 1d6, right?
Yep. Equal to or less than whatever pips you have for search.
Okay, well, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know how many pips I have for search, actually.
That's a good question. Crap.
You should have one.
Then I didn't.
Then I got a 3, so no.
Okay, my search is 3, and I got a 3.
All right.
Phew.
Yep. So as you all start to move forward, you will hear it first, Tiva. You can hear this hissing sort of sound. It sounds like when cold water is poured on coals. And up ahead, you can hear this sound as it sort of echoes through the leaves. And Verda stops as well. It seems that he's noticed it. And he looks at you. Tiva, would you be willing to scout ahead? Says I. You're the smallest. I would not ask, but well. And he looks at Seda and the others. Says, I mean, we could send one of the others, but I figured perhaps you are the best equipped for this because I believe I hear something. And it looks like you do as well. It's a hissing sound. Do you hear that?
Am I muted? No, I'm not. Okay. She looks at him, just kind of cautiously. Is like, yes, I do hear it. Do you know what it could be?
No, it says, it sounds an awful lot like the same hissing sound that Visage was giving when it was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It sounds similar to the same sound that Visage was giving off.
Yeah. So
Just much louder.
I'm going to try to stealth over there. She'll look at her party and just say, okay, but I'm going to go very, very slowly. And I'm not going to go very far. All right, let's see. So it's my stealth. My stealth is 4. And I got a 6.
All right. As you move forward,
Yeah. I'm going to get killed. I know it.
part your way through these trees, Tiva, crawling across the branch. Push some of these leaves out of your way. You can see this branch that you're on stretches sort of upward at an angle a little bit and out over a branch below. Glancing down, you can see this place that Veritas and Arabello's calling the Lightning Scar. It's a 20-foot wide, 240 feet long scorch mark across the branch below you. And the branch below you is absolutely huge, probably a good 400 or 500 yards across, and just branches out into the distance, much like a road. And this branch you're on, as you're looking down over this scar itself goes deep, about 30 feet deep. So 20 foot wide, 30 foot deep, 240 feet long, sort of scarred across this branch, blackened. All the way around it, you see 10-foot tall wooden carvings of eagles. There's 30 of them in total, spaced evenly all the way around the rim of this gouge in the tree limb. And in the center of this scar, or lightning scar as it's called, you see 8 visages gathered about in a circle. They don't seem to notice you, and you can hear this hissing, chanting, as they talk to one another. It seems to be their voices, but it sounds just like water on coals, this high-pitched hissing sound that they speak. And they're all in a circle communing with one another. And let's see if they notice you. For the moment, they do not. At least they do not look up or anything. You can see as you scurry forward a little bit to get a bit of a closer look, a few pebbles drop from this branch, bouncing across the limb below. And one of them will glance over to it, but doesn't really seem to really notice or seem to take much care of it as it goes back. It seems whatever they're doing or they're talking about, it seems to be quite intense at the moment.
Okay, well, she's going to back up and try to kind of hide in the limbs so they don't notice her. She's going to just try to blend in. But I don't understand anything that they're saying, right? It's just this hissing noise.
Mhm.
Okay. So I see, how big is this tree? That's a big ass tree. So
Yggdrasil is, mass. You're basically on a branch that's bigger than a road, so.
Oh, okay. So I see this big hole basically in the tree, and there's pillars around it. And
Mhm.
now, are they in a circle like around these pillars, or
Nope,
are they
they're-
all just clumped together?
They all come together in the center of the scar grouped around. These
Okay.
pillars around it are 10-foot tall carvings of eagles. They look really bad, weathered, old, as they're made out of wood. Some of them are even kind of rotting away.
Mhm.
Very, very old. But there's spaced 30 of them all total, all the way around the rim of this hole that's in the tree.
Okay. So looking around, I see the pillars with the eagles on them, and I see the visages all talking amongst themselves, basically. What else do I see? Like up in the air, or, on the sides?
All the way around on the inside of this scar, at each end of it, it's 240 feet long, but each end has a stairwell that leads down inside of it. And they're sort of in the center of the scar, communing with one another. There's also carvings all the way, almost like caveman drawings, sort of all around on the inside of this gouge that's in the tree. But from where you're at, you can't really see what exactly they are, but they look like some sort of ruins and stuff, but you get a very uncomfortable feeling from them.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that Veritas did tell you that one time this was a holy cathedral for the great eagles and stuff. And you get the sense that those eagles, those pillars and those carvings were in dedication to the eagles themselves, but the whole place just feels corrupt and wrong now.
Yeah.
And you get the sense that these creatures have basically overtaken it for their own sanctuary of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Glancing around otherwise, give me a search check.
I got it too, so I made it.
Looking around, you don't really see anything else. The sun itself is sort of setting kind of high on the horizon, so you figure you probably have a couple hours of daylight left.
Mm-hmm.
From the branch you're on, you have pretty good coverage, so even if these things do look up and stuff, you're fairly well hidden.
Yeah.
Even the others would be able to. Beyond that, you don't really see anything else of interest at the moment.
Okay. So seeing what she has, she backs up, and then she goes back to the group and just basically explains what you just described. Tell them about the big hole, all of the pillars, and there's 8 of the visages that we had just seen. Because it's the one that was going up in the air, right? That's the visage?
Yep, that's
the
a
ones
visage,
that we
yep.
were fighting. Okay.
The porcelain masked.
Yeah,
Whiskey
so
things.
I'm going to just explain that there were 8 of them, and they were just, it seemed to be they were talking amongst themselves, but it was a hissing sound. It was that same hissing sound that we heard before. But there's carvings. It looks like it's really old, and she looks over Veritas. I believe this is the cathedral that you were talking to us about earlier. I think that's where the people used to worship the eagles. Because there's a bunch of pillars, and they've all got an eagle on top of them, but they look really old, and there's carvings, but then there's these visages there, and they just kept hissing, and I didn't understand a word they were saying.
Yes. The scar, it's called Salience. It was a holy place for the eagles and for the Ratatosk and for the original natives of the tree where they worshipped Yggdrasil. The eagles have heard these creatures have taken it over, but it has been corrupt. The people, they've avoided it for centuries. I don't exactly know the details of why, but something must have happened here long ago. It corrupted, sickened this place. And, actually, he would look at you, Arabellas, and do you know of any of these things, or what happened here? Did your God perhaps inform you of such things? Oops.
Oh, maybe I should unmute myself. Yeah.
You're muted.
Did he inform me?
Not really. Besides that, he mentioned that you should check it out. He didn't really say anything much else about it, besides being a former holy place that was now corrupted.
No, sadly he didn't. But this looks very much like they converted it to their own holy place for their unholy god, if you ask me.
Well, I believe I would like to see this for myself. Is it safe? Will they see us upon the branch above, Tiva? Could you lead us there?
Yes, I can. So come this way, but you have to be very quiet because I think they almost saw me. So she just kind of, and I know she's already kind of short, but just without thinking, she kind of hunkers down a little bit and she walks through the branches.
Veritas would follow you, definitely, as he seems quite intent on trying to figure out more. What about the rest of you?
Oh yeah, I'm following too, definitely.
Yeah, Kothis will as well.
She's honestly going to follow wherever Tiva goes.
Yeah, Kothis will bring up the rear if everybody else is.
As you lead forward, then Tiva, and pull the others through these huge leaves that hang down over, and kind of position yourself above. You are going to be about 60 feet above the scar itself, on its own branch above. But you can all look down and get a decent vantage, a view of this place below. Same way that I described it to Tiva. It's 20 foot wide, 30 foot deep, 240 feet long, scar or gouge in the limb of this tree. Each end of the scar has a stairwell that leads down into the center of it. And inside, the whole thing is decorated with old drawings and ruins. 30 eagle statues placed all the way around the outside rim of it. Most of them in ruins now, but they're still recognizable. As you all peer down into this, you can see that the hissing of these creatures has subsided a bit. And they all stare at one end of the scar, almost as if they're waiting for something.
Might see their leader soon.
And she looks over at Arabellas. Maybe that's what they're looking for. And then she just kind of turns back and looks at all the visages as far as what they're, and she's looking around to see if I can see the direction of where they're staring, if there's anything coming.
As you follow their gaze, as all of you follow their gaze, you can see these creatures are just absolutely silent as they stand there. And there isn't even a sound from the trees, no buzzing of insects, no howling of the wind. There's not even a breeze through here. Everything is just dead silence. And they're motionless, waiting. After some time, they begin to writhe in unison with one another, swaying back and forth and back and forth. You can see these black wisps of smoke radiating up off of their body. And at the far end where they're all watching, it's one of these stairs. It would be the western stairwell that leads down into this blackened scar. You can see red fog begin to form and rise up into the air, and it slowly rolls down this stairwell. And then this creature begins to emerge. It's fairly small, about the size of a large dog. Greenish in color, marbled with red, large leathery wings flapping off of its back. And it starts to bounce down the steps. Horns curl back from its brow, and these long, gangly arms and limbs. And it scours sort of like a dog scrambling across the cobblestones of the stairwell and then down to the floor of the scar and towards them. And everybody give me a language check to see if you can recognize what it speaks.
Watch me.
Was that 1 and 6?
Yeah. And I rolled a 6.
The only one
Hey, I got it.
Really?
I got a 1. Well, I think I got
Nice.
I got 1 in languages. I got a 4. I did not make it.
I was going to laugh if I was the only one that got it.
it. Yeah, right.
Did Seda get it too, or no?
I did not.
No. Did Arabellis?
No.
No.
I rolled a 6.
So, Kothis, add Abyssal to your languages, because apparently you can speak Abyssal.
Well, Glory of the Fandango? I'm not sure I'm understanding that one, but okay.
Somewhere in your time, you converted with the demons of the abyss and learned their
Be it.
language. But in any case, you're able to translate as this thing begins speaking with the others. And it says, I bring in news from Thanatos. Arabellis, you would know Thanatos is a layer of the abyss, not a person.
Oh.
And, Arabellis, you would recognize this creature as a mephit, a type of imp from the abyss. And it'll bounce down these steps, and it scurries forward towards these 8 visages who all stare at it. And you can see their porcelain masks and sort of disgust on their faces as they watch it. And this small mephit continues, addressing its voice towards these visages. It says, your master commands you to remain near the tree city. Very shortly, he shall remove the insects that thwarted your previous efforts, and shall recover the desert throes himself. For at long last, one of the perpetrators has been located and is now securely held within Tissi and Samir at the bottom of the multiverse. The small creature pauses, looking around, this wide, fanged smile across its face. It says, your master has also bid me to add, none shall rest until my vengeance is complete. All who stand in my way shall face the wrath of that which is wrought in the ancient halls of the realm known only for dust. And it stares and watching these visages, this arrogant smile on its face. And then altogether, these visages descend upon it, just ripping this small imp apart, tearing through its bones, flinging limbs across the bottom of this scar, and leaving nothing but a bloody, gory pile of gore at the bottom. And they'll speak too, this time in Abyssal. Kothis. And this is nobody, no one knows the master's secrets, not even this pitiful imp. And with that, you will look around Tiva, and you hear this sort of whoosh sound, and you glance up and you can see this huge black shadow pass over above you. It flies past in a second, a third and a fourth. Just huge, massive, maybe 10, 15-foot wingspan that goes over top of you. And as you look around, Sadie, you notice Tiva's looking up, and you look up as well. But you will see all these golden orbs moving along the branches above you and all around you, in between leaves and flashes of sunlight. And Arabellis, you will hear it, this chittering, high-pitched squeaking, and this knocking sort of sound start to echo all around all of you. As everybody watches, you will see 4 giant eagles just tear through the leaves above you and descend down upon these visages, diving to attack. You will see an entire army, well, not an army, but a tribe of Ratatosk burst through from the leaves to your left. And from your right is another tribe of Ratatosk. These ones looking decayed, their chests glowing with a golden orb, as they rush down towards the Ratatosks. You're kind of caught in the middle as they're rushing towards each other. With you in the middle, as a fight breaks out, these huge eagles, golden feathered, and they have these bright white feathers on their head, tearing down into the visages. And then Seda, you hear this sound, this twang, and you recognize the sound of a bowstring. And this black arrow buries itself into the branches right next to your foot, Seda. And you look down, and you can see it's covered in feathers. Familiar feathers. The feathers of harpies. As you glance over your shoulder, Seda, you see Talisman, these wide, black, leathery wings spread out from her back above you, and 4 harpies as they swoop down towards you.
Oh, shit.
And we will leave it there for tonight.
Oh my god!
I don't get a reaction of any kind.
Not yet, you don't.
Oh, man.
As all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. I was going to pull the weapons out and be like, come on, you bitch.
Oh boy.
I'm
So
waiting
there's-
for this fight.
4 eagles descending upon 8 visages. There's going to be 32 Ratatosk running towards 31 undead Ratatosk. And 3 harpies and Talisman running towards you.
Yeah,
Wow.
congratulations
Well.
for jamming that. Oh gee.
Oh, I got rules for it. Originally, for the module itself, it wants me to run all that. I was like, oh, hell no. So I made up my own system to run that.
I was gonna say dust off the old the one battle system.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
basically ripped off Shadow of the Demon Lord's battle stuff, and I'm just going to use that.
Do we level up